Hello and welcome to the Unlucky Frog Gaming Podcast. You've joined by your usual hosts here. We've got Ryan.
Hello.
We've got Tom.
Hello.
And we've got myself, Josh. How are we all doing this week, guys? I've been given instruction to leave Tom till last to do this, so I guess I'm going to Ryan.
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking, Josh. I have been playing a whole bunch of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. I came into that a bit late, but I'm actually enjoying it a lot better than Kingmaker was. They've done a lot of quality of life improvements, and it just plays a lot better. Like, the flow of play feels a lot better.
Cool. How far are you through it?
I am at the end of chapter 2, I think.
Right.
I've basically scraped the edge of every map that I've been to, apart from the ones that absolutely trounced me, and I had to reload my save. But I'm in the middle of a siege, and currently, as I was saying to Tom before we started recording, collapsing the economy of the city before we even take over, because I'm just selling everything back to our quartermaster, just for every little bit of potions or every little scroll I can find, because like it is a lengthy section.
Yeah. I mean, like I usually reach a point in like video games where I give up, like picking up literally everything to sell. But it takes me a while.
You will have to, with Wrath of the Righteous, you have to start being a bit pickier towards the late game, because like magic items become so abundant, you can't realistically carry everything, or you can, but you would just be crawling to your destination. Just
the giant sack of holding behind you, like, just a couple more daggers. They're worth a gold each.
It's such a big game, though. Like I've been playing it as well, and I think me kind of constantly talking to Ryan about it maybe wore him down a bit. Which tends to happen. And I'm on like chapter 5, and I've got like 5 days of playtime, so it is a long ass game. Like there is a lot of content.
It's really fun though, because there's a part at the beginning where you can hire in quote unquote mercenaries. So I've brought in. I'm playing a fighter student of war who's like this brains over brawn fighter, who's dual wielding longswords, which is pretty cool. And I've hired in some wizard by the name of Artisan. Who, under Tom's instructions, I've made an enchantment wizard with slight focus and evocation. So, I have to tell you, Tom, every single time I cast an enchantment spell, it does not overcome the spell resistance. But every time I blow something up, it just lands.
The enchantment stuff is hit and miss. Like if you drop it against humanoids, it will tend to be solid.
Oh yeah, I've sent like an entire wave of cultists into confusion, which is hilarious.
Like and dominating and stuff like that. When you get to higher levels and you're like dominating massive demons, that's pretty, like, that feels pretty awesome. But yeah, it's not an easy path. It is not the path of ease to be an enchanter. As I well learnt when I actually played one. It's like, oh, there's all undead here, right? So I'm fundamentally useless. Okay, I'll throw fireballs then, I guess.
Yeah.
I will prepare every single evocation spell under the sun.
Yeah, pretty much.
Excellent.
How are you, Josh?
Yeah, I'm grand. Gaming wise, what have I been up to this week? Still playing more Magic the Gathering, which is nice. I've got some of my pals down here coming over on Wednesday night to play a bit of Commander. Tempted to build a new deck for it.
All right. What are your options?
I mean, I've got plenty of options, but I really like Judith the Scourge Diva. She's a red-black commander who, when one of your creatures dies, she deals 1 damage to something. So it's just
Aristocrats.
Exactly, yeah. Build that kind of deck. It's not going to be the best version of that deck because you're missing. The best version of that deck is a commander called Corvold, which is red, black, green, and you get basically access to green in your commander
For like
deck,
all
which
the 1/1 tokens that you can generate with that.
yeah, and ramp and all of that as well. So, but it'll still be fun. So I'm tempted to
Go
try
into
and build a
Rakdos
new
for a little
deck
bit.
for that. Sorry.
I'm tempted to go Rakdos for a little bit.
Oh yeah. It's one of my favorite color combos as well. So yeah. Other than that, I was saying to you guys before we hit record there, I've been back in touch with a guy I used to work with, Paul, who's now retired, and he is into wargaming, but more specifically the older, like non-miniature wargaming stuff. So he's been teaching me a system called Command and Colors. Specifically, what we've been playing is Rome versus Carthaginians.
Okay.
And I've been really enjoying it. It's a bit. That system's not too bad to get your head around. It's all hex based, and the units are relatively simple to manage. But he did show me he's got a game set up for a system called Advanced Squad Leader. And he's playing this battle. I can't remember which famous battle it is in World War II, but it's the Americans versus Germans, and yeah, it looks pretty intimidating to get your head around the rules. But he assures me it's very fun. So, I mean, have either of you guys dabbled with that side, like again the non-miniatures war games?
No.
No, can't say I have.
No,
Not massively.
I've barely dabbled in miniature war game, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I've sort of looked at some of the older systems, but it's never really kind of grabbed me. I think I mentioned this before. I'm not that in love with like real world analogs in war games.
Sure.
I prefer more fantastical or fictional elements of my war games. It's not that I don't appreciate the systems or the models. Some of them are stunning, and I've seen some cracking like dioramas and stuff done with some of the older stuff. But the real world kind of war games of any variety just don't really resonate with me.
Yeah, fair enough. It isn't for everyone. What sort of miniatures war game might you be interested in, Tom? Have you done anything?
Weirdly, conveniently staged segue, Josh.
Cards.
I have a new addiction that I started.
Another one.
Started this week, which is Star Wars Legion. So it's not Marvel, which I feel is healthy.
Same improvement
for me.
Yep. You're branching out.
Yeah. So it's a system I've been aware of since it launched. And a funny little story about it, actually. When it launched, I was in Manchester at the time, and I was in Fanboy 3, which, if you're not aware, is quite a sizable hobby store in Manchester.
Yeah.
And they had like a big display for it. They had like a table set up with all the miniatures. So it's a war game, just for context. And they had like a really nice table set up with like miniatures on it. And I walked in, and I was in for Pathfinder stuff. And I was in like the Pathfinder section. I turned around, and I just kind of wandered over. And I saw this section, and I my eyes looked across this table, looked across like the boxes that were set up, and I turned to the person I was with, and I was like, I have to leave. And they were like, why? And I was like, because if I don't, I will buy this. I had to actually leave this shop, and it's kind of, I've seen it around like over the years since, and it's always been one I've been like, I kind of want to try it, but I don't really want to invest in a new war game.
Yeah.
And then this week, I just broke, basically. And
what? So what happened this week to cause you to do this?
It was a kind of a series of things. Like, I think me and Ryan were actually chatting about, we were chatting about miniatures. Yeah. Because obviously we have 2 Star Wars games, and we've been chatting about miniatures. And I think in the Star Wars chat as well, we were all kind of chatting about if we could make the group as miniatures. And then I kind of went on to... There's a couple of different like miniatures ranges for Star Wars. You've got like Legion is actually like the war game. You've also got Imperial Assault, which is kind of more of a board game, but has a very big range of miniatures as well. And I went on those, and I was kind of just looking at those, and then I went out on, I think it was Sunday last week. I went out for a walk with my friend Katie, and we had a 2-hour walk just talking about Star Wars, like, because she loves Star Wars as well, and we were just like chatting about what's good in Star Wars, what's bad in Star Wars, like how we would fix it and things like that. And I got home and I was watching Rogue One. I'd put Rogue One on just for like a bit of roleplay prep, and I was browsing on my phone these Legion minis, and I saw you could get Jyn Erso and Cassian Andor in Legion. And I was like, do you know what? I'd really like to like paint those minis up.
Yeah.
So I thought, sod it, I'm gonna buy those minis just for painting. So I ordered them, and then they arrived. I literally took them out of the box, looked at like the cards, and I'd been kind of like looking on the website, and I was like, I'm just gonna buy the core game. And I'm also going to buy this other mini. And then the next day I was like, and this other mini. And then sort of while this had all been going on, so this kind of went over the course of the week, I'd been kind of chatting to Ryan, because bless him, Ryan gets a lot of my like general patter through the day. So I'd be like, I'm looking at this, Ryan, what do you think of this, Ryan? And sort of chatting back and forth with Ryan, and kind of linking all the stuff I was buying to you guys as well. And Ryan has also ordered something as well.
Yeah, so talking about the making our characters as minis, I got a commander figure for Rex, one of the clone Legion commanders, because my character wears very similar style armor, like this sort of stormtrooper / clone armor. So I thought this would be a good excuse to practice getting into mini painting as well. And then I made the mistake of going from a paint tutorial into how to actually play the game on YouTube. And I kind of want to pick up the Clone Wars set, which is Clone Wars versus Separatists, and not only start building minis, but start figuring out how to paint minis, because like I did it like maybe 2 or 3 times a decade ago with Tau, and they did not look good. They were like big and blocky. Like I'm certain my ADHD just like attributed to it, where I was like, oh, I want to buy these and paint these, and I'm not good at this right away. I'm gonna go do something else.
Yeah, no, that's it is a barrier to entry, is the painting side of things. So, the only thing I can say is just keep practicing, and there's tons of resources out there now for how to paint, and like you got all the different paint ranges. You've even got contrast paints. While there's definitely negatives to them, the best thing about them is you can get a load of stuff painted up real quick with them, and it'll look fine. I
was actually wandering down. I was like, had an early finish on Thursday or something, and I wandered into Warhammer in Glasgow, and was like pricing up different paints, and one of the guys showed me like a couple of different contrast paints. So I've got a vague idea of what I'm looking for. Clones are going to be easy to paint because they're all just like white body, occasional highlight on the armor, just for like table readiness. And I've got like a whole stack of like unpainted like Pathfinder and D&D minis from like the WizKids range, like the pre-primed ones, that I'm gonna like use as practice minis as well. So I can like get right into, so I can get my head around it.
Yeah, I think you'll be solid.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been my new kind of crack at the moment. Just feeding that beast and reading up on things and trying to convince other people. So I was over
So what exactly do you own now?
What do I own now? So I have the core box, which is Rebels versus Empire, which is 2 units of Rebel troops, a Rebel Walker thing, Luke Skywalker, and then Darth Vader, 2 troops of Stormtroopers, and 2 speeder bikes, and then a bunch of like scatter terrain. I have Iden Versio, who's the main character from Battlefront 2.
Mm-hmm.
I have Cassian Andor and Jin, and I have R2D2 and 3PO, and their crashed pod from the start of A New Hope. And I have a whole shopping list of stuff. So what I'd done to give you a bit of context, I haven't just like lost my fucking mind and started spending money left, right, and centre. What I'd done is I'd actually sold a lot of my old 3.0 D&D books that were kind of gathering dust, and I sold it for kind of a few other bits. I had to buy a new lawnmower and stuff, and then I had some money left over, and I was like, I quite fancy just treating myself, and it spiraled, I will admit,
Slightly.
but in a good way. And I'm quite excited. So I've spent the past few days sort of building up the various bits and pieces that I've got, and I'm going to prime them this weekend and make a crack at painting some of them. And I'm meeting up with Ryan on Monday to give him a few bits as well, like clippers and glues and stuff, just to help him out.
Nice.
And then I was at Scott's last night, and I was chatting to Scott about it, and I was like, oh yeah, so this is what's been going on. Scott was kind of like, oh well, I've got a lot of hobby stuff as it is, and blah blah blah. And then sort of towards the end of the conversation, I was like, well, you don't actually need that much to play. And he was like, oh really? I was like, yeah, you just need like a commander and a couple of units. He was like, oh well, once I get moved, I could probably. And I was like, just get moved first, and then we'll have a chat about it. I don't want to be the person who like has you running around buying loads of stuff when you're in the middle of a move.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. How does the actual game play?
So it was originally made by Fantasy Flight, who Josh, made the system that we currently play, the Star Wars Fantasy Flight game, where it has its own sort of unique non-numerical dice.
Sure.
It's very similar to that. So it has hit, crit, defend, super defend, and a couple of blanks on each dice. And it's basically roll, attack versus defend, and account for cover. So it's really simple. Not a lot of numerical things to consider. When your squad, say for example you've got a squad of 4 troopers. If you take a wound, you lose 1 trooper until you got your commander left. Versus your actual sort of squad leaders or your unit, your commander leaders having wounds that you have to track.
Yeah.
So it's very minimal. Like, I have to remember how many wounds this particular band has taken.
Yeah. The one thing I really like about it, and has kind of sold me game-wise on it, is it can be played quite small. Like, it can be very skirmish-based. Even if you play the bigger version of it, it's not that big. You're not fielding, like, massive table-filling armies. You can do. There are rules for that, but in general, it's built for kind of a mid-range kind of game size. And you've got, like, you don't have army books at all. If you buy a box, you get the cards for that unit, and you have, like, it's got an interesting sort of thing, because I quite like card games and card play as well. It's got, you have like a little deck kind of thing as well, that you have like some of your army special abilities and command abilities in, that you can kind of play from that as well. So like you can take generic commanders. There are like generic Imperial commander, generic clone commander. But you if you have, say, like Luke Skywalker in your army, you get special cards for Luke that you can play and utilize things that are specific to like Luke. And if you have like Force users, you can choose like what Force powers you have access to as well, which I think is really cool. So you could kind of you have like a couple of characters that can be either named characters from the different films, and it's the fact that you can have Jyn Erso and like Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker. So you do kind of what if scenarios as well, which I quite like, and you can play across eras. So you can have like Rebellion versus Separatists, or Clones versus Empire, or so on and so forth, which is kind of fun as well, because you can have Anakin versus Luke, which is kind of cool. And
they've got a few interesting parts, like R2D2 and C3PO can be played across both sort of eras, and they've got different cards for their different eras.
Oh, right, cool.
Yes, there's the set I got with them. You get a Rebellion version of R2D2 and a Republic version. And what's really cool actually is there's in the top right corner, there's a lot of the and because it's Fantasy Flight, it was all custom art, so it's not like movie stills; it's actual artwork, which is really nice for every character on every card and everything. But the card art for R2D2 is like Republic era is like nice, shiny, brand new R2D2, and then like his Rebellion is kind of slightly dinged up and dirty and stuff, which I thought was like a nice little touch as well.
Yeah,
which is really, really good.
They've also got a few mercenary cards. Like, I think Boba Fett can be played as a mercenary. So it's like a universal unit that can be fielded. But I think they're also bringing out more along that line. Like,
so that's
more.
That's kind of what actually hooked me. So when I was initially looking into it, coming out in a couple of weeks is the Mandalorian, is Jin and Grogu, and that was I was like, I want them. I don't even care if I'm playing this game or not. I want those models.
Yeah,
and that was kind of it. That was it for me. But Ryan's right. There's basically like mercenary units or crime syndicate units that can be affiliated with a number of different factions, and I think. Don't quote me on this, but I think you can run them as their own faction as well. Like
that's cool.
I think there may be enough there. Like they've got a Pike commander that you can run as a command unit.
Yeah, and you can do like Darth Maul in charge of Crimson Dawn, which is kind of his storyline between the Clone Wars TV show and Rogue One. And you've got Boba Fett has got kind of his classic version where he works for the Empire. But then you've got kind of a version that can be in, I think he can be separatist as well. And they're making a new version of him from the Boba Fett show, where I think he might be Rebellion, which is a different model as well, which is really nice. So there's a lot of really cool stuff drawing on different parts of the Star Wars lore. It was, as Ryan said, it was with Fantasy Flight, but it's actually moved over to Atomic Mass now, who do the Marvel game, Crisis Protocol. So... I will say that to play devil's advocate, the minis aren't as nice as like Games Workshop stuff. They are a bit more simple. They're a bit chunkier. Like their scale is like closer to true scale.
Sure.
But they are kind of a little bit. You could see where they've had to make concessions to kind of make them work. Like the core minis tend to be a little flatter than the solo minis that I've bought. So I think you do see better quality in like the booster packs of content than you do in the core stuff. But they still look really, really nice. Like Scott was over last night to pick me up, and he came in and had a look, and he was like, "These look really nice." Yeah. So they're not amazing miniatures, but they're good miniatures. They're better than sort of your WizKids, plastic and stuff like that, but maybe not quite up to like GW standards, which is understandable because they're not GW.
I mean, GW are probably still making, for gaming anyway, like the best miniatures out there.
Yeah, definitely.
In general.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's kind of been my my week and by proxy Ryan's week, which I am slightly sorry for, but not entirely.
I mean, my bank account might not thank you for it, but I'm it's interesting to get a push into, because like I sort of glanced off of wargaming, which I sort of referred to earlier on, but between like the Fantasy Flight game we're playing and the other game we're playing, and just like recent watches, I think I'm in a similar position to Tom, where I'm getting got on a bit of a Star Wars kick right now.
Sure, yeah.
So like this might just be the impetus I need to get into another hobby.
Hey.
The big question I have though is, Josh, are you going to join us?
Join us.
Probably not.
He is.
Not for now anyway. I've already got... I mean, my focus going forward is actually going to be running this campaign for Dungeons and Dragons. I'm going to be seeing Susan and Doug next week to build their characters. And then on August 12th, we're going to have our first session of what will basically be just stuff from the starter set. Rather than... I hope that where I hope we get to is that I have them end the session arriving in Phandalin, and then for session 2 I'll be able to introduce a lot of the stuff from the Essentials kit as well.
Okay.
I'll make some allusion to a white dragon maybe at some point. Like if they're on the road, I'll if someone's acting as lookout, if they get a really high roll, I might see that have them see something in the distance for that. But so yeah, time wise, I've got that. I've got Magic the Gathering, which is always a very expensive hobby, and I really, really, really ought to give myself a kick up the arse and get painting again my Necrons, because they are. Well, I started on a bunch of them, but I haven't finished them yet. So
when did you start on them?
I don't like that, man. That's cool.
No, I'm just genuinely curious.
No, we are talking months ago. Tom, when did you come down for the weekend?
March, February.
Yeah, it's been a while. I need to get onto that.
So what you're saying is you will be joining us, just a bit later.
Just maybe later. Yeah. I mean, which factions are you guys leaning towards?
So I'm leaning towards clones, mostly because like when I get better at painting, there are so many legions you can draw from that are just the white base plus a bit of color.
Yeah.
One that I was really hoping that was an option was Plo Koon, and make Plo's Bros, the wolf pack. But he's not a command unit quite yet, so I'm gonna just stick with probably all clones with like Rex as a commander, and maybe there's Waxer, Boyle, and Cody as an option, or like they've announced them coming out soon.
Well, you'll get Obi-Wan as well in the core box.
True. Yeah. So I can have Obi-Wan. What was his like the? I know 501st was Anakin's.
Anakin's. Yeah. I'm not sure what Obi-Wan. I don't know if Obi-Wan had an official unit or not, like Anakin did. He probably did.
He did. He had Cody.
So he did. Too. No, you're right.
I might actually lean towards that because I do like. My sort of lucky color is regrettably orange, and I do like the flash of the orange on the shoulder pad. Cool. So I might lean towards Obi-Wan, but for now I think it's going to be Rex.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I'm kind of dabbling into because I got the Rebellion and Empire stuff in the core box. You've kind of got two skirmish forces straight out the gate. And I wanted to do so. I've kind of been drawn towards sort of more fringe characters that aren't the main guys. As much as I like Luke and Vader and stuff, I've gone kind of the Rebellion, the Rogue One side of things. So Jyn and Cassian Andor, and then for Empire, I've got Iden Versio as kind of the leader. She has her own unit called Inferno Squad, which are these kind of like really heavily armored black clad stormtroopers. So I'm going to do a small Empire force with Inferno Squad and Iden Versio and like a few stormtroopers as just kind of a backup force. And I just want to paint up some like stormtroopers and stuff because I'd like to use them like if we ever. I'd quite like to do like a Star Wars game in person at some point.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool to like have some actual miniatures of stormtroopers and stuff. So I'm going to do a little Empire force, and that way, if like you or Scott or someone does want to have a go, I've got a force as well that I can show you with. But my main force is going to be Rebellion.
The Clone Wars box also comes with the Separatists, and that comes with Grievous as your commander.
Oh, nice.
So you got Obi-Wan versus Grievous plus his Legion and a bunch of battle droids. So it might be fun to run some weird mech stuff for the Separatists, and just like lean into just making some obscure painted B1s. Like there's like all these different range of B1 battle droids that I can just like this one is this one, this one is this. You know, they're all or just like spray paint them all sand and just be done with it.
They are really easy to paint as a battle droids. To be fair, they're probably easier than the clones are in that sense. But the thing is as well that you can have, you could play Empire versus Empire. You can have very different sort of list. So there's only like the 4 main factions, but then you've obviously got the mercenary stuff as well. But there's a lot of diversity within those factions, so you can do Empire with like the Emperor in charge. You could do Empire with the guy from Rogue One, the white clad.
Oh,
dude,
the Krelk.
Yeah, you can have like him in charge. You could do like sand troopers, snow troopers, storm troopers, and then like with the rebels and stuff, you can have like Wookiee forces as well. So you could do like Wookiee units.
Oh, right, yeah, they're also clone compatible as well.
They're clone compatible as well, yeah. So you've got kind of these units as well. So you've got like, as much as you've only got 4 factions, you've got a lot of changeability. You've got like the Mandalorians as well. Like they're a whole mercenary faction you could do. So you could do like Sabine Wren from the Rebels show and the units of Mandalorians, or the evil Death Watch Mandalorians.
Yeah,
and they're just bringing more and more stuff out. It's expanding. So
should we tell Josh about the one that they are bringing out, the one faction they're bringing out?
Oh yeah, I forgot about those. Oh my god. So Josh, what if you could play any one force from the Star Wars films, arguably the most deadly force in the Star Wars films? Who would you play?
What am I supposed to say here?
Think about the fiercest, the most aggressive units that you see in the Star Wars films. I'll give you a clue. It's in the classic era.
That with
presumably
like
yeah,
the highest...
Jawas.
Not
Come
Jawas.
on.
Close. They are small.
They have a
Ewoks.
higher...
Ewoks!
Yeah.
Ewoks! Yes!
So yeah, they're bringing out Ewoks. They've been announced as well. I suspect there'll be an extension of the Rebellion. But I think they're getting like their own commanders as well as like their own units. So you can have an Ewoks army.
Amazing.
I would love if they were just mercenary and you just have Vader
Anyone can have them.
Yeah, you could just have Vader rocking up with an army of Ewoks.
An army of teddy bears. Yeah.
I mean, they've got the highest body count of like arguably any force.
They're absolutely brutal. Like if you watch like especially the original trilogy, the damage that the Ewoks do to the Empire forces on Endor is just horrific. They absolutely brutalize them. Apparently, I think I saw something online that like the Ewoks are actually borderline cannibalistic as well, because you see them like obviously they kind of capture the heroes at the start and kind of tie them up, and 3PO talks them out of it. So there is this thing that they're kind of carnivorous or potentially even cannibalistic creatures, because they have like skulls and that as well. So that's kind of funny. So yeah, I think that's really cool.
So
just paint them up so that they're completely blood soaked from
Yeah.
battle.
Just
like-
blood battered fur.
Yeah.
it's we see imagine like we see the cuddly teddy bear version in the movies.
Yes.
Imagine if we got like a Rogue One where it's just like the skirmish of like from the Ewoks perspective of like their guerrilla tactics against this evil empire.
I mean, we did get Ewoks. The Ewoks had their own film, and they had their own cartoon series. Unfortunately, they're not the dark and twisted version of the Ewoks. They're very much steer towards the kid-friendly version of the Ewoks. But I would love a more mature take on the Ewoks. Just brutal, just ruin people's childhoods.
Yeah. Great stuff. Oh well, guys, stay tuned to watch Tom slowly whittle me down until I play this game inevitably.
True.
Let's find out how long I hold out for.
I give him 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got more confidence than Josh. 2.5.
Okay, 2.5 weeks before I buy my first. Is it buy? Is that what I crack? I spend money on it.
Yeah, you've got to put the money down. I think to
Like
to put you over.
it's too late for me. I've already bought a mini. Like,
It's too late for me.
it's due
Go
to
on
come.
without me, Josh.
Yeah, it's due to come today. So I was actually kind of hoping it would show up mid-recording, to be honest. But
Yeah.
Do an unboxing recording. That's
Yeah.
real audience participation.
just
like-
all these visual gags.
Rightio. I think the only other thing to mention before we sign off, it's 4 weeks to Tabletop Scotland.
Hey!
Woo!
On that
So-
note, actually, we have had our first sort of discussions about the quiz. So we're
Yeah.
obviously going to be doing the quiz at Tabletop Scotland, and started floating ideas for some rounds that we're going to be doing. I won't commit to anything because we've not hammered anything down for certain, but we've got some really interesting ideas floating about, and I've had a few suggestions from other people as well who've been like, I think you should do this round. So we might have some interesting ideas on the table for some rounds. So if you are coming along, and you should come along, and you come to our quiz, which you should come to, you'll get to enjoy these quite creative rounds, if I do say so myself.
Yes, looking forward to it. Rightio, and on that note, I think that's all we've got time for. So thank you very much for listening, guys, and until next time, take care.
Bye!
Bye-bye.
Bye.